Buenas tardes a todo el mundo. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Andres, and in this video we're gonna dive into the new arrival process for individuals that are gonna be arriving here to Puerto Rico. They've made some changes to the rules in regards to negative COVID tests for incoming passengers. So this video is going to go over those rule changes and also touch on some of the other travel restrictions that are still in place at this time. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. As I start every single travel restrictions video, I have my notes handy. Make sure you guys have a pen and pencil so you guys can take down these notes. Everything that we talk about today is going to also be listed in the description below. So if you missed something, you can either play it back or just go down to the description and it'll have all the information I'm about to go over with you and all the links that I'll mention in this video. For incoming travelers, incoming individuals to the island of Puerto Rico, you must have a negative COVID test that is no more than 72 hours old. That is not new. Okay, that is something that has been there for the longest. The problem is the numbers that is being reported to us is that only about 30% of the incoming travelers are coming with this negative COVID test. How do we know this? Well, every person that comes into Puerto Rico has to fill out a travel declaration form, which will also be linked down below. In that form, you're supposed to give and input your negative test. So only about 30% of the people who have been coming in have been doing that. Or of the other 70%, you were supposed to quarantine for 14 days or until you got your negative test in to upload to the system. Very few of those individuals were actually doing that. And in hindsight, that has actually been part of the problem that we're having here in Puerto Rico with the spike in our average case numbers that we're having here in Puerto Rico. Our numbers have spiked through the roof. So what is changing? Now, if you arrive to Puerto Rico, again, you must come with a negative COVID test that's no more than 72 hours old. We do get a lot of people asking us about the 72-hour window per se. There is some flexibility for a few hours. They understand flights get delayed, or maybe, the test back in the States was done an hour earlier, an hour later than what you expected. They work with flexibility. Now, of course, if you're a day or a day and a half off, then you're most likely going to have to take a new test. But for those who arrive and do not have negative tests, you are given a 48-hour window from the time you arrive to submit those negative tests to the system. And now, if you don't, you are subject to a $300 fine per person. So keep that in mind. If it's a family of 4 and all 4 of you don't have your results in within 48 hours of arriving to Puerto Rico, that's $300 per person. That could be a nice hefty fine. Now, for those who arrive to Puerto Rico and are coming with no test, you haven't taken a test at all, you do have the option to take the test in-house right in the airport. I believe it costs about $100 to $110 to take the test. And the company Aerostar that is administering these tests are stating that they are getting the results back usually within 48 hours. Now, during this 48-hour time period, it is your responsibility to make sure that you self-quarantine during this time. It's not time to go out and have fun and hang around the island. Is to stay away from everybody until you are absolutely sure you have that negative test. Another thing to keep in mind is the vaccines. The different vaccines have been rolling out, and I think the states are doing hopefully the best that they can to make sure that as many people are getting the vaccines as possible. The vaccine is not another option instead of getting the test. You still have to come with a negative test even if you've been vaccinated or not. So please keep that in mind. Now, they have updated the travel declaration form with space to put the vaccine information in. So I'm assuming sometime in the future they'll make a change and maybe allow people who have had vaccines to come in to the island without the test, but who knows. Everyone must come. Children from 2 and up, everyone who's at least 2 years old must come with this negative COVID test. So we do get people who say, do our kids have to be get the test? Yes, if they're older than 2 years old, they must come with a negative COVID test. Now that information, that's in essence what you have to do to come in. You have to come with your test, you have to fill out your travel declaration form, and you have to do it within 48 hours or you're subject to a $300 per person fine. Going out, Puerto Rico, the United States federal government, and the CDC does not require a COVID test going out. Now, some states and some airlines do. Please verify with your state and verify with your airline to see if you're gonna need an additional test to go back. Now that we've gone over what's new, we're gonna go over very quickly on some of the travel restrictions that are still in place today. Now, if you want to see a full video of all the travel restrictions that are in place currently in Puerto Rico, click the link above right here so that you'll be able to see that video. The main things are, there is a curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So pretty much the island shuts down during those time periods and you must be indoors. The restaurants, most restaurants and stores and businesses will close at 9 p.m. or earlier to give themselves enough time to close up shop and have their employees arrive home in a timely fashion. How does that pertain to travelers who are incoming? We've seen a lot of people online asking, hey, my flight comes in a lot later or very early in the morning. Is there transportation or anything available? And the answer is yes. Transportation is available to individuals who are flying in. There's plenty of taxi services that are at the airport that will allow you to, get to your destination. Now keep in mind, once you leave the airport, nothing is open. So you're pretty much be going straight from the airport to your Airbnb or straight to your hotel. Last but not least, regardless if you come with a negative test or not, for those asymptomatic passengers, the ones that come already off the plane and you're showing symptoms, whether it's sniffling, sneezing, coughing, the thermal detectors in the airports are detecting a fever of some sort or high temperature. Go ahead and just keep it in your mind that if that is you, the National Guard can't pull you aside. Regardless if you have a negative COVID test, they could possibly ask you to take another test. If they do, they'll probably administer a rapid test right there on the spot. And even if that comes back negative, if you're still showing symptoms, you may be required to go through some type of quarantine process. That is done on a case-by-case basis. Another thing that's still in place today, mask 100% of the time. Indoors, outdoors, you're in public, you're around people, you're wearing a mask. Mask must cover your mouth and your nose. If not, the police are giving out fines, $100 fines for individuals who are caught without a mask. Look, if you're gonna come to Puerto Rico, make sure you follow the rules. Get your negative test done before the 48 hours is up, so you don't have to, take in that $300 fine. Wear your masks, okay, and stay within the curfew. Now, the CDC is recommending people don't come to Puerto Rico. The cases are high here. Our average numbers on a daily basis have spiked over the last few months. This may not be the right time to come to Puerto Rico. Maybe this is the time where you kind of rethink your vacation plans. Only you guys can make that decision. All I can ask for you guys is to make sure you guys follow the rules that Puerto Rico has put in place. And that's pretty much it, everybody. It's very short and sweet and concise. For individuals that are coming in, you got to make sure you have your negative COVID test. If you don't, you have to make sure that you have it within 48 hours. You can take it at the airport. If for whatever reason you don't, you can't. The National Guard will give you, I think it's a list of places where you can go on the island and get it done without a doctor's referral, which is great. But you got to get it done within 48 hours. Avoid the fines. I'm sure within the next couple of days that we're going to learn a lot more about how they're going to be enforcing the $300 fine. So I'm curious to see what that process is going to look like to enforce the $300 fine for these individuals who do not submit their negative test within 48 hours of arriving to Puerto Rico. If you guys have any questions about anything I just went over, or you guys, if I missed anything, make sure you guys leave me a comment down below. If you guys like this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And of course, you want to see more content here from Puerto Rico, make sure you guys subscribe. My name is Andres, and I will see you guys next time.